What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD Mobile video. So I know this video that I'm discussing is going to be about the LK24, and this one might actually generate a little bit of debate, only because of how closely this weapon is balanced with a few guns in this game. But I do want to talk about the changes because I feel like I kind of downplayed the buff that it received. So when I was reviewing the season 5 patch notes, I kind of glossed over the LK24 mainly because, based on what I saw, it didn't really look like it had to be changed at all, or, the change wasn't really going to be substantial. And that's mainly because I didn't really think big picture. And it wasn't until I saw Kilt's video and then when I actually tried it out for myself, I started to understand why they made a change like this. But first off, I want to kind of explain why I kind of downplayed the changes during those patch notes videos that I made for this gun. The main reason is because yes, it does increase the accuracy. Yes, you have a better multiplier on the stomach, but I didn't really see it as, game changing. I didn't really think it was going to change the meta that much, but of course, I didn't think about how the weapon would work individually, like the type of options that this weapon was going to be more open to once the changes were finally set in stone. To me, I just saw it as just another simple little change that doesn't matter. But once you actually test it in game, you start to understand like what it actually can do now. So when I saw Kilt's take on this weapon, I kind of agreed because I'm just like, okay, so now I'm starting to understand what this change could actually do. And I do apologize for not really being that open with this gun because I know it's like this weapon's kind of been overlooked for a little bit for quite a while now. So the LK24 got a significant buff to the BSA as well as a stomach multiplier buff. So again, here are the changes in detail. Again, I didn't really think that the LK24 was going to be changed that significantly, mainly because I just assumed that the LK24 was able to four shot from basically any range. I mean, that's what the weapon is basically designed to do. It's supposed to be a long range weapon. And with the already good BSA that it had before, again, a change like that, I didn't think anything of it. So when the BSA changed from 16 to 12, it actually opened up a lot more options than I initially thought. So basically, you're allowed to run this weapon with just pure speed attachments without any repercussions whatsoever. Basically, you could run a rubberized grip tape, you could run no stock, you could run the suppressor barrel if you want to. And yes, I do have the OWC laser just to at least maintain some of that accuracy. And you could even run a 50 round mag. It's not going to mean anything to your accuracy, period. And given that the LK24 is already a stable weapon of, recoil wise, yeah, that's basically what this change was designed to do for the LK24. If anything, this might be actually one of the assault rifles that is almost completely penaltyless. At least in terms of the movement options now, because now you could just deck this thing out with speed and it won't even matter. Bullet spread accuracy doesn't really seem to be something that you have to concern yourself with anymore. And I think with a weapon like this, I always considered it to be a little bit weak, especially like if you're in close range engagements. And that's why I've always kind of picked the KN44 over the LK24 because the KN44 has that chest multiplier where you're able to three shot. So there's a lot more, I guess, openings for a three shot potential comparing it to like the LK24, where the only three shot potential that you do have is with the headshots. But of course, the difference is that, like, I guess the LK24 is a lot more stable and it could, do long shot kills a lot easier, especially if you do hit in the head. So that's something that the LK did have over the KN44. But that's basically all it had to offer. And, at the time, for a while there was a point in time where the LK24 was considered a meta. I think at the very beginning of the game, or at least near the Gunsmith update, or I think like right before. But also like maybe a year or two later, the LK24 was actually considered meta, if not very close. There's people like Godsley that were using it. There's people like Noah. Basically, a lot of players or a lot of like top YouTubers were actually using that a few years ago in ranked. My apologies for not knowing the exact dates, but my best guess is probably before the M13 or the MX9 even came out. But after that time period, it just kind of became obsolete. And like, yeah, it was a pretty good option to use, but if you're going to use it in a competitive setting such as ranked, Yeah, it's not gonna be anywhere near good enough to, keep you on top. However, one thing that's remained constant with this gun is I guess, the overall rivalry with the KN-44. Every weapon in this game, I would say, has a rival. The KSP has, the Chicom. I would say the XM4 has the Type 19, M13 has the Type 25, BP50 has the FFAR. There's always like a weapon that has a counterpart to another. In the competitive sense, of course, but I think that's what makes the weapon balance in this game very, like, just interesting to me. In most COD games that I played in the past, I never really cared too much about weapon balance. I just used whatever felt good to me, or some a weapon that like I personally liked. But COD Mobile has been the first game where I actually truly looked at each patch notes and saw all the weapon balance differences. Like, this is the very first time I've ever been interested in how weapons fundamentally work. But yeah, the LK24 is a lot more versatile now with, a lot more movement options. So now you could deck this thing out to be the speed demon that you always wanted it to be for all you LK24 mains out there. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that update. I mean, I'm actually kind of enjoying the gun personally. I mean, it's pretty fun to use at times, and even more so with this update since I could actually move with it. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say on the subject of the LK24. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content, and I'll see you guys next time.